Will it run? That seems to be a popular question that a lot of folks are asking these days. And quite frankly, I enjoy those videos myself. So I thought, what the hell? Why don't we give it a shot? What we have here is a late 70s model 360 LA 727 transmission. We picked this up on a deal from a buddy of mine from Facebook. So let's see if we can't get this thing running. This one might be a little different though. As you can see, we have no vehicle. But that's still not going to stop us from seeing if this old Mopar small block will run. I picked this up from a buddy of mine off of Facebook. And as you can see, it is very complete. Even down to the air conditioning lines, alternator, power steering pump, transmission cooler lines. Still has the radiator hoses on it. Factory 2-bar carburetor. I mean, complete as complete can get. He even left the yoke in the transmission so it wouldn't lose all the fluid. There's a few things. We're missing a few spark plug wires, and the pigtail on the distributor might need to be replaced, but those are minor things. So what I'm going to do is give y'all a rundown of tools that I usually take with me to see if one of these old engines will run. Now, granted, normally this is done in the vehicle, but I've done it several times outside the vehicle. And as you can see, it's kind of sketch. So, use your own judgment when doing this. I have a cinder block under the transmission pan, as well as one underneath the front of the oil pan with a 4x4. It's pretty solid. I trust it. Like I said, use your own judgment. Okay, what I have laid out here on the bench is what I consider my breakdown bag. I tend to keep one of these in every older vehicle that I drive. It's basically consists of just sockets, standard size sockets, ratchet, extension, plug socket, simple tools, y'all, like pliers, vice grips. Keep an electrical repair kit with some wire, some fuses, zip ties, standard size wrenches, a couple grease rags, some belt dressing, a temperature gun, just whatever I can fit in this small bag that I think I might need. And this will cover 90% of the breakdowns that you'll run into on an older vehicle. I don't know if I mentioned a pair of gloves. It's always good to have those. But when I'm going to look at a Will It Run case, I always throw in a breaker bar with a short extension and a 1 1/4 inch socket to see if the motor's locked up or not. If you can turn it over by hand, that's good, but sometimes they might have more compression than that and you'll need the breaker bar. So, like I said, this should cover 90% of your breakdowns that you will run into on an older vehicle, but it can double as a Will It Run bag. So let me get y'all set up on the workbench here and we'll see what we're working with on this old 360. Now the first thing I typically do when going to look at one of these old engines is check the fluids. Checking the fluids will tell you a lot about how it was taken care of. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that oil is pretty black and it's about half a quart low. But the good news is it's got oil in it. So we can start it with that oil, and it doesn't appear to have any antifreeze or any other fluid besides oil in it. So I feel safe with cranking it on that oil that's in it. Next thing I'll do is I'll check the transmission fluid. If it's an automatic, I know you're supposed to check this while it's running in neutral. But you can look at it and see if it's burnt. And as you can see, it's a nice bright red. So the guy did tell me that the transmission, it did go in gear. He never drove the vehicle, but he did pull it in gear, and it had all 3 4 gears in reverse. So now that that's out of the way, we'll see if this thing's locked up or not. Now, a lot of folks, if there's still a fan on it, you can grab the fan belt and spin it over. Sometimes you can move it by the alternator belt or the crank pulley itself. And as you can see, this one's pretty free. I can spin that one by hand. But on the off chance that you can't, just throw your big breaker bar on there. I can hear that compressor pulley dragging. I like to at least make one full rotation. And the plugs are still in this engine, so I'm safe to say it's probably got some miles on it, because the compression is not the greatest on it, but it does have a little kickback. So we're gonna see if we can attempt to get this thing to run. Okay, so to show y'all what I got going on here, we were missing about 4 spark plug wires, so I dug in to my stash, and luckily I keep old junk like this laying around. So we cobbled together some spark plug wires. Now I need to figure out this ignition. The factory style pigtail, wherever it went to, was basically falling off of this thing. So what I'm gonna do is, I got a little HEI conversion kit I keep to try to light these things off. So I'm just gonna hardwire that in, and then we'll run battery cables, and we'll look at the fuel supply situation. So as y'all can see, it didn't take much to get this old engine to light off. I could take this a step farther and put in a temporary fuel system and a temporary cooling system. That way we can let it run a little bit longer. But before I do that, I'm going to dive into degreasing this thing. We're going to scrape off some of this old gunk and grime and get her cleaned up a little bit. That way we can tell more about what we're working with, if we have any major leaks or anything. Maybe shoot a fresh coat of paint on her, and then we'll find something to stick her in. But thank y'all for watching. Hopefully y'all got something out of this video. Stay tuned, and we'll see y'all in the next one.